Hello guys, thoracic duct injury. So thoracic duct injury is a people will be discussing very little about these topics. The thoracic duct injury is one of the most important complication that we really encounter in neck dissection. Neck dissection is a very common procedure that is usually done by many ENT surgeons for cancers of the oral cavity, cancers of the thyroid, cancers of larynx, pharynx. So without neck dissection, we will be not able to give a complete clearance of disease. So thoracic duct injury is one of the important complication which we may encounter in neck dissection. We will have a detailed discussion about this thoracic duct injury in neck dissection. So, some basics about thoracic duct. The thoracic duct is one of the largest lymphatic conduit in our body, and it starts from the cisterna chyli and it ends in left jugulovenous angle. It drains nearly 40 to 60 percentage of our fluid, lymphatic fluid. Basically, it drains around 2 to 4 liters of lymphatic fluid, and it purely depends upon the fat intake which we usually have. So it has been taught to us basically that the thoracic duct starts in cisterna chyli and it usually ends in the left jugulovenous angle. That is the thing which have been taught as UG students. But when we look into it very carefully, the normal anatomy of the thoracic duct is not always the same. It starts from cisterna chyli, it drains into left jugulovenous angle. That's it. But these are some of the relevant clinical variations. The first picture shows that the cisterna chyli, then the thoracic duct emerges, starts, goes and empties itself into the left jugulovenous angle. See the second picture. It may directly go and drain only into the right jugulovenous angle. Third picture, it may drain as multiple channels into left jugulovenous. Fourth picture, there are two tributaries ascending after cisterna chyli. They join together and then they go to the left side. There are multiple tributaries from the various azygos vein and they are dividing into two paths, one going to the right, one going to the left. There is no cisterna chyli at all. The patient directly has a multiple tracts going into the right side, going into the left side, coming around aorta. There are various clinical variations of this thoracic duct. Why this much of variation the thoracic duct is having? The thing is like these thoracic duct mainly gets its lymphatics from the azygos vein. There will be multiple plexuses formed around these veins. These plexuses usually disappear at certain point of time, but sometimes what happen is this may not get regressed. It may persist and it may drain. So the right embryonic duct and left embryonic duct may sometime remain without regressing, so that sometimes the thoracic duct may enter into right jugulovenous angle rather than entering into left jugulovenous angle. That is the most important reason for this variation in anatomy. So this thoracic duct which most commonly get disrupted or injured at a neck surgery or a cardiothoracic surgery, apart from direct trauma, there are various causes of leaky collaterals, leak of the chyle. The various non-traumatic causes of this chyle leak is said to be like benign illness such as sarcoidosis, tuberculosis, Behçet's, lymphatic diseases such as Gorham's, congenital malformations. Sometimes it may be idiopathic. There might be some malignancy which may occluding the chyle, and what happens is concurrently there might be leak, and this leak may be getting out and flowing out. These are the various causes that has been described for the thoracic duct leak. So we will focus mainly principally on the surgically induced thoracic duct injury, that is the direct trauma caused to the thoracic duct. Okay. So when we do a surgery, especially a neck dissection, it's mandatory to look for a thoracic duct injury. So how we can check? Intraoperatively, after doing a complete neck dissection, clearing of the nodes, we have to definitely look at level 4, both right side as well as left side, because we have seen a variation in the anatomical course of the chyle duct. We have to look at level 4 and we have to be carefully looking at it. Kernia has described a maneuver when we have to do a manual abdominal compression. We will usually ask the anesthetist to give for a Valsalva that might mimic a cough, that might build an intrathoracic pressure. Similarly, we have to, at the same time, we have to give some abdominal pressure for the patient so that there might be a good pressure. And if there is a definite injury to the thoracic duct, that might show up as a couple of drop, which is totally transparent, looking like an oil that might flow out at the jugulovenous angle that we can look. But when we are doing an oral cavity resections, or sometimes the pharynx resections or laryngeal resection, the salivary leak may also mimic like a chyle leak. In such a case, there is a simple trick to identify whether it is a salivary leak or a chyle leak. Administer just some oral methylene blue to the patient, and if immediately it appears in the neck, then it is saliva. If it's taking time to come into the neck, then it is definitely a thoracic duct injury. So by doing this simple maneuver, we will be able to intraoperatively assess the chyle leak. So, okay, even when we do, sometimes we may miss the thoracic duct injury. Once the thoracic duct has been injured, then we have to treat the patient, definitely. And the incidence of thoracic duct injury in a well experienced surgeon is really very less, but still, thoracic duct injury has to be critically taken care of. There is more incidence when we are doing a bilateral neck dissection rather than doing a unilateral. There is more incidence of chyle leak when we are doing a thyroid surgery associated with neck dissection. There are more chances of injury. But there are no universal protocols that has been given to us for the treatment guidelines of thoracic duct injury. So broadly, we can classify the thoracic duct injury into a surgical management and a non-surgical management. So first, we will see about the non-surgical management. Everything depends individually upon the condition and upon the patient and upon the surgeries which we have done. It's lots of factors that we are going to determine before planning a patient for a particular type of management. So basically, the non-surgical managements include three important things. One is giving a nutrition that is a different nutrition from normal thing. Second, giving some somatostatin analog. Third, putting the patient on negative pressure wound therapy. We will see one by one what are these non-surgical management. So basically, the thing is, we basically know that the most commonest cause of increased lymph flow is like when the patient's fat is getting increased, fat intake is getting increased, the chances of chyle leak will be more high. The chyle that is coming out, the flow will be much higher. So it's mandatory that we have to take some nutritional approaches to prevent the amount of chyle that is leaking out through the neck. For that, we have to put the patient on a low fat diet. So we have to get a very good nutritionist opinion. We have to get a very clear opinion from them, and I will give you some of the important tricks that we can use for this nutritional approach. So the thing is, like, we can't put the patient like there is no need for any fat, stop completely the fat, completely the multivitamin. You cannot put it like that, because if the nutrition is not adequately given to the patient, maybe if the patient is having a laryngectomy or some other radical surgeries which we have done, if the nutrition is not good, then there are 100% chances that the wound healing will be much delayed and the patient's outcome will be much bad. So it's mandatory to keep a close eye on the nutrition. So these are some of the suggestions by Stager et al., Jensen et al., and Benedicts et al. What they say: when the output from the neck, the chyle output from the neck is less than 500 ml, you can be putting the patient in low fat diet, not a problem. When the patient's output is greater than 500 ml, you can put the patient on only elemental formula. When the patient's output from the neck is greater than 1 liter per day, it's better to start the patient on fat-free diet or a total parental nutrition. And total parental nutrition is very ideal in such a case. If the intravenous lipid emulsion is higher, then we can administer intravenous lipid emulsion so that the essential fatty acids can be given to the patient, that it will totally bypass the chyle flow and the patient will be getting the adequate essential fatty acids too. So this is a very good and a nice approach. The first non-surgical management technique is making changes to the nutrition. Look at the patient post-operative day. If the patient is developing chyle leak, if it is less than 500 ml, start them on low fat diet. If it is greater than 500 ml, put them on elemental formula. If it is greater than 1 liter, it's better to put them on total parental nutrition. And how are you going to give fat to the patient? Prepare an intravenous lipid emulsion, start administering them so that it will bypass the chyle. This is a very good suggestion from the literature. The second most important non-surgical management, like you're trying to put on low fat diet, elemental things, still the chyle is output is not coming down, then we can put the patient on somatostatin analog. But we have to keep in mind there is no definite protocol that has been explained, and there is no definite surety that is definitely going to control the output. And also one important thing, we have to keep cost also as a factor in our mind. So the another one that has been explained is the negative pressure wound therapy. The most important problem which the patients may encounter when thoracic duct injury is basically the chyle will be keep on leaking through the neck. Drain has to be kept for a long time. Anyhow, it is a foreign body, and this chyle leak may will aggravate things in cases of laryngectomy patient, and it may provoke fistulas in this patient. So it's mandatory to keep the wound site clean so that the healing will be good. So what they are advising is connect the neck drain to a vacuum. Put it in a low pressure of 50 mmHg. Don't allow anything to collect there. Keep on sucking things which is getting collected in the neck so that the the thing is like there will be low output, the chances of fistulas will be less, the chances of poor healing will be less. This is a very good method proposed by Kadota et al. This is one good non-surgical management that we can do in a case of thoracic duct injury. So now coming to the surgical management. When we have to go for a surgical management, and again there is no definite protocol for it, it is all tailor stitch and tailor made. You being the surgeon, you know very well whether this chyle is a big problem or not. When we are in a case of a laryngectomy or a pharyngectomy, you know it is a very important thing. When we are in a thyroidectomy, you know it is better to wait rather than doing something surgically so quickly. But when your output is not at all decreasing and it is continuously leaking greater than 1 liter per day, and it is also continuous for more than a week, then it's mandatory to put the patient on surgical intervention if needed. That is very, very, very important. There is a test called fatty meal test. The thing is like if the output remains low from chyle leak for 2 days after the meal, the tube can be removed. If the output increases or persists after the fatty meal, then you have to put a surgical intervention. This is one thing that has been proposed by Cerfolio et al. Whatever. The thing is, you know very well which patient needs to undergo, you know very well which patient can wait. So, in a case of laryngectomized or pharyngectomized patient, it's mandatory to look into leakage is a very important factor, and salivary leak and fistulas will be very, very difficult things to manage and control. It may take a long time. So, it's mandatory to take quicker actions in certain group of patients. So, the thoracic duct ligation is the one that is the most gold standard method in controlling thoracic duct injury. Open thoracotomy is a very morbid procedure, but the thoracoscopic approach through the right side is a very good alternative. This thoracoscopy, we will be visualizing the cisterna chyli. Once we visualize the cisterna chyli, we will directly apply a clip over the cisterna chyli so that the completely it is occluded. No thoracic duct in no flow, no chyle flow, absolutely it will be normal. This is a easy method, this is a very good method and a very good alternative to an open thoracotomy approach. These procedures are very routinely done by a cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon. This is a very good alternative for a patient who are continuously having a chyle leak. Then comes the therapeutic lymphography. This therapeutic method is like administering lipiodol. Where there is a lymphatic leak, they will apply lipiodol at that lymphatic site leak area so that that leak area gets irritated and inflamed, and it will undergo fibrosis and it will close automatically. This is one method described by Lafront et al. So another method described is when intraoperatively when the patient has a chyle leak, and if it is not getting closed, or post-operatively if it is continuously flowing, then the cornea, it is an old proposed method, we can either put a PMMC flap, pectoralis major flap, or a sternocleidomastoid flap, rotating only the clavicular head, and we can use it as a cover to prevent the leak of chyle. So another one they are describing is you can take the patient for OT again, open the neck. You can look for a well luminized lymphatic, lymphatic you can see that has to be closely anastomosed into the jugular vein or the internal or the external jugular vein by a U stitch. But these are all very complicated procedures. These need a microscope. You need a reconstructive surgeon. You have to very careful. These the chances of again an injury is high, and chances of again putting the patient into troubles are more high. These are all methods which has been described earlier, but still nowadays the most recommended method is a thoracoscopy, which is a very easy and a clear cut method and giving a good solution. Apart from that, these are all some recent advances that has been described. This is the thoracic duct embolization. We will find a we will find a lymph node or a lymphatic in our foot. They will slowly give an incision. We will put a we will pass the catheter, and we will be slowly looking for the images, and we will be localize the cisterna chyli, and once the cisterna chyli is localized, we will put a emboli in the cisterna chyli, and it will be completely occluded. This is one of the method that has been described recently. One another important method is an intranodal lymphangiography. We will look for a node intranodally, mostly in the inguinal region, put a needle, inject some dye over there. This will carry the lymph to the cisterna chyli. We will localize the cisterna chyli, and after localizing the cisterna chyli, we will pass the catheter, and we will block the cisterna chyli. This is one of the method that has been recently proposed. These intranodal lymphangiography techniques has a very good success rate of around 79% done by intervention radiologist, and the success rate is higher when we are dealing with a traumatic case. When we are done a neck dissection or traumatically the patient is having a thoracic duct injury, then the success rates are very higher in these group of patients. Another one technique, we can call it as a trick rather. This is the one is like when you see a patient, when we are doing a neck dissection and we see definitely there is a thoracic duct injury, the best thing is to look for the thoracic duct leak, and tissue glue is one of the substance, that is N-butyl 2-cyanoacrylate. We can apply tissue glue over the thoracic duct site, and we can keep it over there, and we can keep it with a dry gauze, and we can close it over there. So first we have to dry the area with a gauze, apply chloramphenicol eye ointment to the internal jugular vein, carotid artery and vagus nerve at that region, wait for some time, then take a 1 ml of tissue glue, put it over with a sterile applicator, suspected area of leak, put it over there, place a gauze piece again, wait for some time, put a drain, close, come out. They say there is a very good success rate for this technique. They say it is a very good success rate. It has been published by Blythe et al. In British Journal of OMFS, and it shows a very good alternative thing that we can do intraoperatively to prevent thoracic duct injury. So to conclude, there are various measures that has been proposed for this thoracic duct injuries. There is no international guidelines proposed for this treatment. Everything depends upon the individual case and the surgeon's choice. There are fairly good options available conservatively. Conservative method is a very good option. Conservatively, usually it comes down. Day by day, it usually comes down. But when you are having a chronic leak greater than 1 liter for a long duration of time, and when we are dealing with patients who are having a laryngectomy, who are under the verge of developing fistula, you have to intervene quickly. Thoracoscopy is a wonderful surgical approach. Apart from that, the various other methods of lymphangiographies that has been recently coming up, these are all wonderful techniques coming up with a good success rate. I hope definitely in near future these techniques will be overtaking thoracoscopy, and the complications has to be always kept in mind, and the functional repair has to be given very nicely, and intraoperative management is the best thing that we can offer the patient with a thoracic duct injury, rather than putting them for a chyle leak and fat free diet, which are very difficult, especially in countries like India. When we are when we are asking a patient to stop fat completely, it's really very tricky situation. Thank you so much.